PALKO is a game which is simple to learn and fun to play for people of all ages. Although anyone can play the game, few will master it. An expert would require the concentration of a chess master, the strategy of a backgammon champion, and the guile of a poker player. PALKO contains 5 shakers, 5 sets of dice, and 25 tokens. The object of the game is to be the last player in possession of 1 or more tokens. Each player begins the game with a shaker, 5 dice, and 5 tokens. Each player throws their 5 dice. The highest total establishes the opening caller. The game begins. All players roll simultaneously and secretly view their dice under the shaker, ensuring that no other players see their dice. Once viewed, the dice cannot be changed for the remainder of the set. Calling. Players call in turn, starting with the opening caller and proceeding in a clockwise direction. Each player must call when it is their turn. It is important to note that 1s are wild and of greater value than 6s, meaning that 2s are the lowest value. A call is a player's estimate of the total of a particular number showing in all the player's dice. For example, if a player calls 7 5s, this indicates that they think there are at least 7 5s in total on the table. Subsequent calls must be of increasing value. For example, a call of 3 5s could be followed by either 4 5s or 3 6s or 5 2s. Calling continues until any player, not necessarily the next in turn to call, hears a call that he or she considers to be unlikely, a dubious call. The player may then either challenge the caller or double the caller. The player who has made the dubious call must then respond in one of the following ways: by choosing that all dice on the table be viewed or opened, or by doubling back the other player, then viewing or opening all the dice. All players then reveal their dice. If the dubious call is proven to be incorrect, for example, if he or she has called 7 4s and there are less than 7 4s on the table, then the player making the dubious call must place one of his or her tokens in the centre of the table. 2 tokens if they were doubled, 4 tokens if they were doubled and doubled back. Conversely, if there are 7 or more 4s showing on the table, then the challenger loses the contest and suffers similar penalties as described above. This process completes one set. The next set commences with all players shaking and secretly viewing their dice. The loser of each set becomes the opening caller of the subsequent set. Before opening, this player may elect to reverse the calling order. Play continues until there is only one person still in possession of 1 or more tokens. The opening call must be at a level equal to or greater than the number of players. For example, if there are 4 players, then the minimum opening call is 4 2s. 1s are wild and so substitute for any other number. However, if a player calls 1s, for example 5 1s, then all 1s cease to be wild for subsequent calls of that set. However, all calls made prior to the 1s call will still make use of the 1s as wild. This may become important in the event of callers preceding the last caller being challenged or doubled. If a player has a straight, for example either 1 2 3 4 5 or 2 3 4 5 6, then all of his or her dice are totally excluded from the tallying process at the end of that set. If a player has a hand consisting of 5 of a kind, including ones as wild, then in the tallying process this hand will be deemed to count as 6 of a kind. If a player has a hand consisting of 5 of a kind and includes no wild dice, this hand will be deemed to count as 7 of a kind. If a player elects to challenge or double the last caller, he or she is also free to challenge or double one or more of the preceding callers consecutively through the calling order. For example, if player 4 challenges player 3 and also wishes to challenge player 1, then he must also challenge player 2. He or she thereby enters into contests with each of those players. Any player entering into a challenge or double contest must have sufficient tokens to cover any potential losses. For example, if player 4 making the challenge only has 3 remaining tokens and is doubled, then he or she is not permitted to double back. Players may agree to various scoring methods. For example, more tokens may be used, or rather than using the token system, the loser of a set may be commanded by his or her challenger to perform a task. The only limit is your imagination.